Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RV Podcast 388.
Yep, and this week we are celebrating 10 years. 10 years, a decade of traveling the country in our RV.
Welcome, fellow travelers. It's time for another episode of the RV Podcast.
Answering your questions, sharing tips, suggesting great trips and off-the-beaten-path adventures, and always staying on top of the RV lifestyle news you need to know about with great interviews and inside industry information.
Here's your hosts, award-winning journalists Mike and Jennifer Wendland.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Wendland. This is my lifelong traveling companion and my bride, Jennifer.
Hello, Michael.
How are you?
I am doing wonderful. How could I not be great? I mean, the sun's shining. It's a beautiful day.
We are in Florida. We are in the area known as the Big Bend area, and that's where the Florida Gulf Coast kind of makes a big turn down to the rest of the southern peninsula from the Panhandle. And we're actually out here. We're checking out some RV property that is for sale. I just found out they only have 8 lots left. That's how fast they have sold. They're kind of like 2 miles from the coast. And we got a tip from some of our readers, and then we contacted the company. They invited us down to take a look, so we took a look. We'll have a video on that coming up in a week or two. But meantime, we're having a great time exploring this area. We've been here before. What do they call this besides the Big Bend? It's the Forgotten Coast.
Mm-hmm. Forgotten Coast is what I thought its name was.
Yeah. Well, that's what a lot of people have called it. And,
it's very pretty. It's like old Florida.
Yeah, it's laid back, very friendly. It's great. So you'll get a kick out of it when you see the video. But that's where we are, and we're having a great place. We'll put a link in the show notes for this episode at rvlifestyle.com to that property we're checking out. It's a place called Gulf Mists Landing. And like I say, they have 8 lots left. And of course, we're recording this episode on March 23rd, being released March 23rd, 2022. So I don't know how long those 8 lots will last. But anyway, we're having fun looking at property. This is a big trend. And we've had a lot of people ask us about how our property in Tennessee is coming. And we've made more progress on that. We now have 3 RV pads flattened out and ready to go. We got septic and we've got water in. We're waiting for electricity. That's going to be short from now. And then we think we're going to put some concrete down on one of our pads, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Hey, it's officially springtime, so welcome everybody to spring. It's pretty nice weather down here, except for one thing. We did our live Ask Us Anything this week from the coast, from the Big Bend coast, and it was absolutely gorgeous. Mm-hmm. But what you couldn't see...
No seams.
No seams.
And they were mean little guys.
Yeah, somebody asked us if no-see-ums in Florida were worse than mosquitoes in Michigan.
And we said yes, because the mosquitoes you can see.
Yeah.
You stand a chance.
Yeah, it's a fairer exchange because you know what's getting you, but those no-see-ums. It was so bad, they literally drove us into the RV. We left the outside, we were showing you the beautiful area, and we went in. But that's brief
another
time.
Story.
It's not forever. They
and
don't have
I think
them.
everywhere in the country there's always some insect that comes with spring.
Yep. Hey, we want to tell everybody there's a new giveaway. As you know, we are always doing these giveaways where we have products that we have checked out that we like. And this is a great one. This is the time of year everybody's getting their RV ready for a brand new camping season. And one of the things that you should do is replace the whatever treatment you use for your black tanks. You should replace that. And we have every season you start with new stuff, and we are starting with a product that's called Thank Tank. And we're giving away, the company that makes them is giving away 4 of them to our followers. Just go to rvlifestyle.com/sweepstakes. And you can get these. Are really neat black tank deodorizing treatments. They have all natural ingredients, and they prevent undesirable bacteria from developing, and they actually help the proliferation of beneficial bacteria to break down and destroy that waste that's in those tanks, and yet make it so they don't stink.
So if I'm understanding this right, maybe what you were using last season, you opened the container and so it loses its effectiveness over time?
Yeah, if you've had your unit in storage, if it's been cold, and over time you
And maybe
always
you
want to
left
start.
those chemicals, that container in your rig, so it's been the different changes in weather, it diminishes its effectiveness.
Yep.
So start off the new season with a fresh can, and we're suggesting what they use.
Yep. It is a story that came out today that I think was pretty interesting. We all know how busy national parks are and how they have tried to control crowds by requiring a reservation, and that reservation would require a timed ticket to enter the national parks. That's what we have seen started last year. Well, now we've starting to see state parks do the same thing, and it was a popular park in California, or in Colorado. The El Dorado Canyon State Park have now done the same thing. They've implemented a timed entry system for weekends and holidays in a hope to better manage visitors. So it's proof, I guess, that these overwhelming crowds are for camping and outdoor recreation are continuing even despite the gas prices. Crazy.
Can you imagine the pressure that puts on us as we're traveling from point A to point B, and there's construction or an accident, and you're like, I gotta get there.
I can't get in.
Do you lose your spot if you don't? Oh my.
Yeah. If you don't have your timed ticket, if you're not there, goes to somebody else.
Whoa.
So, yeah, it is a problem.
Yeah.
It really is. So.
Yeah, it takes some of the joy out of it.
Hey, last week we talked about Starlink, the constellation of low-orbiting Earth satellites that brings incredibly high-speed internet available, $100 a month, $500 for their system, and we had a long post on the blog, rvlifestyle.com, and we had our podcast 387 all devoted to some new advances in Starlink and how RVers are using it and how it's starting to open up for mobile use. And anyway, the thing I want to talk about is I got my system. I ordered it.
I got my system.
I got my system in 6 days. I ordered it and had it shipped to our Florida condo. And I hope, we're having so much fun here in the Big Bend, so I don't know if I'm going to get back there to activate it in time. But we're hoping to do that this week. And we'll have videos and talk about it. But this Starlink thing has really got me excited. We did our video last night live from the Forgotten Coast out on the Gulf, and sometimes when we're doing these live things, if the connection is not strong on the internet, it gets a little fuzzy, and it was a little fuzzy, and I hate that. I'm kind of a perfectionist about all this stuff. Starlink, that won't happen, but again, it's not quite available everywhere, but it's available enough now that we're going to give it a try, so we'll let you know.
Wow. That is very exciting.
That's pretty good. Piece of email that came in, I just wanted to share, and then we'll get ready to talk about some of the things we've noticed that are different now than they were when we started RVing. This is from Tamara, and she says, well, after 12 weeks, I ordered my F350, and I then received the cancellation notice from Ford saying they couldn't build it. So I reordered an F250 a month and a half ago, and then Facebook had an ad pop up for a local dealer with the 2019 Ram 2500 Hemi, 62,000 miles, gorgeous, great price. I called, picked it up Saturday. So camping will happen this year. Plus, leaving our F250, I'm going to leave it on order, and I'll use it as this new Dodge as a trade-in if we decide to swap them out. But since the order could take a year to get the new truck, this was a must-find. So that I've had a lot of people talking to us about the unavailability of trucks, and we have been shopping, just trying to get an idea, because one of the things we're considering for our next RV, or actually for an additional RV, is getting a fifth wheel, which we could leave at our property in Tennessee, and if we find some property in Michigan, we could leave it there and then still be traveling with our Class C behind us. So I've been looking at trucks, and it is almost impossible to get a new truck. There's hard to get some RVs with up to a year's wait. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. I never thought I would see that day.
Yeah, we're from Detroit, of course. That's our hometown, the automobile capital of the world, and we just aren't unaware of this. And we should have been, because we drive by the Palace of Auburn Hills where they used to be. They tore that down. They moved basketball downtown, but that whole parking lot is filled with trucks waiting for chips to come in. Those microchips. So I have been trying to find one. I really have been trying to find a truck and seeing if that's, is that something we want to do. And I have been unable now in a month and a half of shopping. Now there are some used trucks. There are used, but they're incredibly expensive. Like a fairly loaded 2,500 3/4 ton is $60,000 or more. I priced out Saturday a new truck, a new F-250, and I'm even going to name the dealer. It was Gary Smith Ford in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. $80,000 sticker price for a new F-250, and they had one in stock. I shouldn't say it. Somebody's going to go get it.
I'm sure it's gone by now.
Yeah, $80,000, and that's just amazing. And the sales guy told me that on Saturday said that, well, we could charge a premium of up to $20,000 on this thing. And that's what many dealers are doing. What few new ones they get, they're charging a premium for them. So anyway, needless to say, I didn't buy a $100,000 truck, but it is a problem. It is a problem. Just add that with RVs. So used values are right up there, but man, 60 grand for a 5-year-old truck.
I'm glad you didn't pay an extra $20,000 for that truck. It would have been hard enough to get your bride to agree to $80,000.
I know.
Let alone throw on 20 more.
Well, the story's not over yet, so we'll let you know. There's a lot of noise. If you're wondering, we're at a campground. This is that's a tractor going by. They're doing some spring gardening, and he's carrying a load of I don't know what looks like mulch.
Even Bo's upset about this. Bo has to get up and see what's going on.
So forgive the noise. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about how things have changed in the 10 years this month that we have been doing the RV lifestyle. So stay with us.
Are you tired of overcrowded campgrounds, competing for reservations, paying high fees for sites? Well, ownership is an emerging trend in RVing that might be for you. Jennifer and I recently bought some property just west of Nashville from a great company in Tennessee that specializes in large acreage RV property. They're called Tennessee Land and Lakes. You can check them out at myrvland.com. The scenery and the setting is breathtaking, and you own it outright. It's not a timeshare. Your property, your way. You can garden, landscape, bring your pets, your friends. It's big acreage in a private setting. There's high-speed fiber optic internet connection along with utilities, a wonderful place to make your home base. No more calling around for reservations, and it's ready whenever you want to be there. Prices for big acreage start at only $79,900, plus you get us as your neighbors. There's financing available and some really friendly staff to work with. Visit myrvland.com. That is myrvland.com. You'll be glad you did.
When we're on a road trip, we always seem to find a way to stop at a Camping World center. There are over 225 Camping World locations across the country, and there's always one close by when we need parts and accessories for our RV or just want to shop. In fact, we have so much fun with Camping World, and as we talk about it as one of our sponsors, they have agreed to offer a 10% discount if you use the coupon code RVLifestyle10 when you buy $99 or more in merchandise. You'll find everything you want, from outdoor furniture and appliances, the ones you see us use in our videos and that we talk about here in the podcast. RV extras that include everything from camping chairs to fire pits, electrical accessories, must-have gadgets. Check them all out. And again, don't forget, use the coupon code RVLifestyle10 when you visit campingworld.com.
Welcome back to the RV Lifestyle. And like we said, we are celebrating 10 years of doing this, being on the road, having fun, having adventures.
Our first trip was 10 years ago this week.
And what a wonderful trip it was.
I remember like it was yesterday. It was in a 2006 Road Trek RS Adventurous that we had bought used, and it was down here to Florida. And our first night, I stayed at the Findlay Walmart. Do you remember that? Findlay, Ohio.
You know, I had forgotten about that trip to Florida. I was thinking our first major adventure was when we went out west to Yellowstone.
Well, that
and
was...
every stop we made along the way, it was so much fun.
Sorry about the noise. It's that guy's fault right there. He's just going by with that truck, and there's not much we can do about it.
Get your camera off me and on you.
Yeah, it's on you. So, 10 years we have been doing this, and it has really been a lot of fun. But there have been a lot of changes, and we thought we would just reflect on some of the things that we've noticed about, particularly RV travel on the road.
On the road.
And let's start with the
obvious,
gorilla
the
in the room.
The elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is the gorilla in the room, or the elephant in the room, I guess.
Fuel prices.
Fuel prices.
No one can deny that. The fuel prices are crazy, the highest that we've seen, and I don't see any sign of it coming down in any way whatsoever. And what do you want to say
I
about
was
fuel
going to say,
prices?
yesterday we filled up, and the first time that ever happened to me, I put my credit card in, and this thing takes about 22 gallons, and it stopped at $75. It's like there's a maximum fee that it would authorize up to $70.
75, yeah.
$75, and I didn't fill it all the way up.
We've never experienced that before.
I
but
remember the first time I filled up that 10-year-old RV.
Yeah.
Cost me $72. In fact, there's an old post on the blog and a photo I pushed someplace saying, wow, this is expensive. It was diesel. Now it would be even more money than that. It would cost me at $5, 22 gallons. We're talking over $100 to fill up just that, if that was diesel. This happens to be gas. So that is the first thing.
And I can understand that, because that's a small mom and pop gas station that we stop by, and in case somebody's got a bad credit card, I don't know how that affects them. A lot of hassle, I would think, to try to get your money back.
So fuel prices, that's the big change. And we have seen over 10 years, they kind of go up and they go down, but they have not been terrible. I don't know, here comes that truck
I think
again.
that they're going to be doing that. So we'll just ignore it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this doesn't make our audio too bad, because the guy's working really hard at this. This is a KOA in Perry, Florida, and he's just going back and forth, loading up stuff, cleaning the place up, planting spring flowers, making it nice. But so fuel prices is obviously the biggest change, and that is a negative. But people keep asking, say, "Oh, are people going to stop?" I think it'll have some effect on a few. But for us, we're just going to be a little bit more intentional about the trips, but we do not intend to stay put in one location. We are eternal optimists, and while there's no sign of it going down a lot, it will. Because always, what goes up, goes down. And doesn't it usually go down right around election time? Haven't we learned that? So fuel prices. The second thing, and we talked about this yesterday as we were driving I-10 in Florida, and this is something we've noticed across the country.
It's the speed. Even though a lot of places the speed limit has gone up from 65, 70 to 75, or even more if you're out west, but people are driving crazy. I mean, they're going 90.
90 is almost
plus,
the new norm.
And weaving in and out. I mean, it's dangerous. I mean, we're sounding really old now, aren't we?
Well.
But reckless drivers.
Yeah.
And lack of what I call manners. People who, somebody's got to merge. Well, you got to do your best to move over. Somebody's pulled over, changing a tire the side of the road. You need to pull over, give them some space. But a lack of manners, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with these folks? I'm wondering if driver's ed isn't doing a good enough job.
I don't know. Maybe they don't have driver's education
because
anymore.
it used to be parents took their kids out a lot. And
I mean, I'm a pretty aggressive driver. I seldom am under 70, and I'm not going to admit to anything that can get me in trouble here, but I'm a pretty aggressive driver. But this is crazy, 90 miles an hour, and there's no patience. It's like our whole culture, I mean, there's no patience. Look at social media. If you say anything, somebody's always, no matter what you say, somebody's yelling and screaming at you. And I think we see that on the highways, and that's disconcerting to me, to see such reckless behavior out there. And we also are noticing more accidents.
Yeah, there are a lot of accidents.
Yeah. One of the other changes.
Oh, the distracted driving. It used to be, cell phones, but now people are reading, emails and things.
They're reading texts.
And it makes it hard because, like, my watch lets me know when I get a text. You kind of look down and say, but we shouldn't be reading our texts when we're driving.
Yeah.
I think cell phones are people talking on the phone.
Yeah, it used to be 10 years ago, it was hands-free driving. Well, they made it hands-free, but people are still pushing buttons to listen to text, or they're looking at their watches, or they're looking at their screens, and there's a lot more distracted driving.
And this new technology in cars, a lot of that is distracting too, like the car our family car at home. Trying to adjust the temperature and everything, it's not as easy as it used to be. Just turn a knob, now we have to do this and that. And
all these different
what's supposed to make it easier really makes it harder.
Yeah, it does. So those are some of the negatives that we've noticed. But overall, we want to tell you, in 10 years, it's become an incredibly positive experience for us. And we also want to say that we have no plans of coming off the road. The one thing I'm noticing, and maybe it's because we've been doing this for 10 years now, is I've noticed how many people are coming in off the road. A lot of other people who are doing what we do now. When we started, there were only a couple of others that were doing videos and stuff, and then the podcast. Now it's like hundreds of them. But they seem to be really active for a few years, and then they're gone. And many of them have come in off the road. Those are full-timers, I think, and I think full-timers tend to burn out. We are half to three-quarter timers, and we just want to say right up front, we're more excited about this lifestyle than we ever were before. So we're not coming on off the road. One of the nicest things that we'll say is that there are more, and we notice this along the highway, more RV-friendly rest areas.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, like in Ohio on the turnpike, how they even have nice spots to get electricity and water plug in. And
they're away from kind of the hustle and bustle and private.
I mean, that is really nice. And you pay for that. You pay a fee to spend the night there.
I guess $20. It's very reasonable.
But it's good. It's wonderful. I wish every state had that. But it is easier to camp.
And that's particular area is the Ohio Turnpike, and we've really noticed that. But even across the rest of the country, more rest areas are putting in dump sites, for example.
Yes.
Which is really a great thing for boondockers, because one of the problems boondockers is, where do you empty your tanks? And many times you can find now in many states rest areas. So that has been a big change. Diesel is more available. I remember our first couple of years, it was always a little bit of an adventure to find diesel. We used apps and stuff, but they weren't always very accurate, and we'd get off the road. And you remember that time, I think it was Iowa, it said diesel or gas to the left. Great. So we got off and we kept driving, and it was like 10 miles off the freeway to get this gas, and we needed it. We got in on fumes. But there were times that diesel was really hard to get.
Yeah, don't ever let it go down to see how low it can go.
Remember that time in Texas, you were driving on fumes.
Yeah.
And I kept that was the time where I said, shouldn't we get gas? I said, we can keep going. And it was wide open.
I think you have more of the spirit of adventure. One of our children has that tendency to see if he can get by on fumes.
But that's a good positive. Diesel is more available. We kind of talked about technology being a distraction, but we also want to say that overall how technology has made this lifestyle much easier. Particularly things like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto that plugs right into the screen now on your vehicle dashboard. whether it's a motorhome or whether it's a vehicle that you're using to tow. That is so nice. I use the app Waze, W-A-Z-E. It is so good because it alerts you way ahead of time to any traffic mishaps. It's always live.
I mean, it's good. I mean, pothole or, different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just things that then you're like, okay, I better pay attention, especially this time of year. Yeah.
We drive I-40 from Nashville to our property in Tennessee towards Memphis a lot. And this spring has been a mess. Well, I should say this spring because it's only been spring for 3 days, but the last couple of months, how's that? It's been a mess, and Waze has saved me my tires because it alerts us pothole ahead, a quarter mile, and so we're alert, and that kind of technology is great. You're not looking at the screen; you're hearing it on your entertainment device. I think that is just a big plus.
It really is a plus to have that, because I'm thinking in Michigan where the potholes get big and where sometimes you'll see car after car after car lined up on the side of the road because there was a pothole.
And with that comes the question I used to get all the time, yeah, but what about cell phone coverage? Well, that is the other big positive we've noticed in a decade of travel on the roads of America, and that is that cell phone coverage now is pretty much ubiquitous everywhere. Good, solid cell phone. Granted, like last night's live shot, it probably could be a little more robust on the upload speeds, but still, we have found in the last year, I don't think there's been any place we've camped that we didn't have good cell phone coverage. With that, we no longer need to have a cell phone booster. We used to have boosters on our RV, and for almost 2 years now, we have not had a booster, and just our cell phones or our little MiFi card or the system I'm using with a PepWave, a router in there, it's getting very adequate cell phone coverage just about everywhere. So that is a big positive as well. And the last thing we want to talk about is how 10 years of travel has given us just a real appreciation for North America, but particularly the U.S., where we do most of our traveling, and particularly with COVID, where we've been for the last 2 years. There's a saying that familiarity breeds contempt. We have found that that's just the opposite is true, that familiarity brings comfort.
I really do feel like this whole country is mine.
It's our neighborhood, the whole country.
I love every state, and I have things that I like in each state, and I can't wait to go back and experience this, that, or the other thing. And I'll hear something on the news, and I'll say, oh, yeah.
And you picture that area. Yeah. It's like we get homesick for different parts of the country. Like right now, I'm feeling a homesickness for the mountains of Montana. And we do the same thing for Florida. We love the state of Florida. We do the same thing for Michigan and its Upper Peninsula and these different regions of the country that we have visited. The first few years, like I think a lot of RVers, we just wanted to take it all in at once, just like drinking from the water hose.
Yeah, I think that was a major fault, that we just moved too fast. But we always had a reason. We had to be back for this, that, or the other thing. It seems like there was always a schedule, and we keep saying this every year, but I think we are going to do it now. Slow down.
We have slowed down, and what our goal for 2022, we always have a little conversation at the start of the year, and what our goal for 2022 is to sort of stay in different areas a little longer.
I guess the bottom line is taking your time, slowing down, enjoying instead of rushing to see the next spot. And I think the absolute best part is that we have made friends all across this country.
Yes. And our bucket list continues to grow.
Mm-hmm. I think it's gotten bigger.
It has gotten bigger. And we realized when we first started, we wanted to check everything off the bucket list immediately. And now we realize, okay, we'll try that this year, we'll do this next year. So 10 years of travel, those are some of the things we noticed. A lot of that dealt with traveling on the road, and we'll talk in future episodes about some of the things we've noticed in 10 years about camping and boondocking in different parts of the country. But it's been a great decade, and we're starting the second one.
All right, 10 more years.
You got it. All right, when we come back, a couple of the questions of the week. Stay with us.
When we're asked what's the most important modification we made to our RV, it's an easy answer. Battle-born batteries. Battle-born batteries are quality, safe, reliable lithium batteries that allow us to stay out there off the grid longer. Lithium batteries charge faster, they charge fuller, they're longer lasting, they're maintenance free, and battle-born batteries are protected by a 10-year guarantee. Now, in our case, they just dropped into the existing AGM batteries that we have, and they'll probably be the same on your rig too. Battle-born battery experts can get those in your rig just like they did with ours. They can also match you up with the right cabling, the inverter, the charger, the solar controller, everything. Jennifer and I swear by our Battle-born batteries. They allow us to boondock off the grid. Check them out. Go to rvlifestyle.com/lithium. rvlifestyle.com/lithium.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the RV Podcast, episode 388. And a couple questions that came in this week we want to get to. First one from one of our followers named Reen, and she said, my boyfriend and I are 70. Well, there you go. Retired and ready to travel. Should we rent first to make sure RV life is for us? Looking at Class C, sleeps 4 to 6. What are your thoughts?
Go for it. I mean, I guess you could rent first.
Yeah, I would.
And have you ever camped in the past?
Right, that's the question.
I mean, are you going to live in this? Are you thinking of moving into this Class C and living in it full time, or you just want adventure getaways?
Yeah, that's the question that we would need an answer to really give you a recommendation. If you've never, what we don't want you to do is just sell everything and just buy an RV and say, that's it, we're going to live in this from now on. You really need to go out there and explore and find out if the lifestyle is for you. And the best way to do that is to experience it. And I don't think you could even rent for a weekend and say, yep, this is for us. You need to really take a long trip. If you can borrow one or rent one, do that. Or if you're going to buy one, you got a good deal, don't sell your sticks and bricks until you've taken a couple of long trips, and so you know. But 70 is the new 50, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is, though. I mean, that is,
There's no reason to stop.
There's no reason
Everybody's
to stop.
different, and go.
So
Go
just
as long
make
as you
sure
can.
that you know what the lifestyle involves, and it's not just watching a couple YouTube videos. It's going out and trying it yourself. All right, question from Dana. It says, thanks for all the great information. I have a question. I have left my pets in my RV many times over the years, and I've never had any problems. I live in Florida. Why is leaving your dog at home alone in a house any different than my RV? And yes, our air conditioner is always running.
First thing is, an RV is like a car, and you know how quickly a car heats up. And an RV is the same. It heats up, 20, 30 degrees in no time whatsoever?
Inside a vehicle, with the sun shining, the inside temperature will be up more than 40 degrees higher than the outside temperature.
And it happens
That's kind
really
of the
quick.
average. So on a 70-degree day, that can be 110 degrees inside your vehicle. That's not like that in your house. And we humans sweat, and we can regulate our body temperatures. Dogs don't, they really can't do that as efficiently as humans. So they're called death traps by veterinarians. You put your car in it. Extreme heat is deadly to a dog in a very quick period of time. And yes, you leave your RV air conditioner on, but what if it goes out? What if it goes out?
My nightmare is that you've got it plugged in, and that goes out for
Somebody
any of a
runs
number
through
of
your
reasons.
campsite and they pull the plug out. Or it breaks. They break all the time. Ask any RV mobile tech. That's the number one thing they're called to fix, is broken air conditioners. This is why 31 states now have laws on the books making it a criminal offense to leave an animal unattended inside a vehicle. Now, they have different laws about what can be done, but in essence, almost all of them mean that your dog, that somebody is isolated from any penalty if they break into your vehicle to rescue your dog. And yes, if your air is running and they broke in and it was running and everything's fine, they still are covered because they thought your dog was in danger. So I'm just telling you that it's not a good idea to leave your pets unattended. For a little bit of time, yes, but not to go on a 3-hour hike. Maybe to go out for dinner, that's probably okay, but you should have some backup. In our case, we have a product called Waggle, which is a pet monitoring thing that'll alert me on my cell phone to the temperature inside the RV at any time. And if it goes to a certain level, I get an alert, an immediate alert. But we're never more than, just a minute or so from our RV usually.
I'm thinking if your dog's like our dog, Bo, in the back it's cooler. He'll sit in the front, shotgun or driver's seat normally. Somebody was taking a picture of him yesterday.
Yes.
And people have done that before. He sits there like he owns the thing, looking around. And that's the hottest part in the vehicle. I guess we could put a drape up or something so that he wouldn't sit there and look out. But he sits there and he's panting, his tongue's hanging out. And
we were actually in the vehicle. We were just a couple rows back having lunch, but that was at a restaurant.
But I mean, we have left him with a card in the window saying this vehicle is being monitored. You know, there's a sticker and everything. But
it's a dicey thing. Bottom line, 31 states have laws against that. So whether you like it or not, that's the reality of it. And it can be extremely dangerous for your dog. Yes, your air conditioning's been working, but what if it didn't, and what if you couldn't get back in time?
And luckily we have the two of us, because we have been in situations where you get to go sightsee and then you come back with the dog, then I get to go look around. It's not fun.
It's not ideal. We prefer being together, and we are always telling people the realities of traveling with the pet. For example, do you know what you have to do? Look on the right side of Bo. He found something to roll around with. We're checking out that property there.
Oh, Bo. Yeah, he found something
All
stinky.
right, so we are done with this podcast. We are going to go wipe Bo off.
Okay. But you got to say the other part of Bo. There's a whole fenced-in area the other side of our rig. It's something new that I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
Where they're by our lot that we rented, there's this great big fenced-in area. Bo does not want to be there.
No.
We are at a picnic table. He is as close to me as he can get in the shade of the picnic table.
Yeah.
And he's even had to brush up against me a couple times. Maybe that's because he's got stink on him. I don't know.
Dog's got her. Yeah. Hey, thank you guys for watching. We would love to hear from you. Questions, comments, anything. Our email address directly to us, our personal email is mikeandjen@rvlifestyle.com. We'll be back next week with more. Thank you so much for watching, and as Jennifer always says,
Happy trails.